let's talk about different things that you can use on your lick mat to help your dog get a yummy snack and to get that enrichment. Now, there are tons of things that you can find inside of your kitchen already that can work really well with lick mats. Today, we're going to talk about some of the things that I'm using for my dogs right now that you can then opt into as well. And keep in mind that the way that you're enriching your dog is going to be different dog to dog, depending on allergies and the situation that you're going to be doing. Summer enrichment will be different than winter enrichment, will be different than sticking it on your bathtub wall because you're enriching them while giving them a bath. So be smart about the situation, be smart about your dog, and make sure you were looking at the ingredients of what you were putting on your lick mats before you give it to your dog, because not everything is dog friendly. So one of the things that I love to start with is Greek yogurt. This is really good for gut health in your dogs, and it's going to be very easy to spread that on your lick mat, either just to give it to them or to freeze it and then give it to them. I typically like to freeze my lick mats. It makes them work a little bit harder at this, and especially in the summer, gives them a nice cool treat, and it adds that texture, it adds that time factor into it. So I liked freezing things, or at least partially freezing things, but it is entirely up to you how you're going to do this and facilitate it with your dog. So Greek yogurt is going to be a good one. You also have things like pumpkin puree. You do need to make sure it is for a pure pumpkin puree, and it is not going to be like additives or anything or that fake stuff. So make sure it's actual pumpkin. You can use things like peanut butter, but make sure it's the dog safe peanut butter. Certain peanut butters use a specific type of sugar that is very toxic to dogs. So you must make sure it is the correct kind of peanut butter. You can also freeze things like bone broth and water in your lick mats to let them dig up that ice on that lick mat. I also like to add what we're going to kind of call toppers, but you can treat it however you want. So I will use fruits and vegetables on my lick mats as well, and I just try to smush them into it or add chunks to it and then freeze it. So I will take blueberries and I will just mash them up into my lick mat, and then they can either just eat that or they can eat the frozen version of that. I will chop up strawberries and try to squish those in. You got to be kind of careful because they don't squish quite as easily, but you can add those to it. If you chop things up very finely and kind of mush it up, or if you blend it up and put it on there, that's going to work really well for your lick mats too. So you can think fruits and vegetables that are going to be dog safe and dog friendly as you are doing this. And then with my lick mats, I very much like to have variety. So I don't just put Greek yogurt on my lick mat and call it a day. I have Greek yogurt. I have a little bit of honey. I have a little bit of peanut butter, and then I will do some like fruits and vegetables. I'll do it in sections or I'll do it in different areas. And pro tip, you don't have to use the entire lick mat. Sometimes these lick mats are really big and you just want to use a little bit as a treat or as an enrichment activity, or you have a smaller dog and you're not going to need the entire lick mat. So you can put it all condensed into one corner, or you can space it out and make your dog move around to get access to those depending on your dog's size. And so you can kind of have them in sections. So one section is one flavor or one taste, or you can kind of mix those together depending on what you want to do and how you want to do it. And the bonus points, you can actually take your dog's food and use it with lick mats. I have seen a lot of people take their dog's unkibble and put water in it, so they've rehydrated it, and then they mash it up and then put that mash on the lick mat. It is the same thing, except it has hydration, which you're supposed to be doing anyway. And you can do this with bone broth or with water or with whatever, and use this for their meal. So you don't have to have them just eating the pellets of the unkibble or the kibble that you're going to be using. By the way, all of my other things that I feed my dog, I'm going to link down below for you. And you can mash it up and just give it to them as their meal and let them eat it that way. And that slows them down too. And it also means that their body then doesn't have to try to process things that are not already mashed up. We know that dogs are meant to tear and eat their food, not to mash it up like humans are, so that their bodies then have to do a bit more work to process whatever they have consumed and break that down. Which is, with humans, we're supposed to chew it until it is fully chewed and then swallow it so that our bodies don't have to waste the energy processing something to break it down to then get the nutrients. So mashing it up and putting it on a lick mat actually works to your benefit in a lot of cases. So you've got options when it comes to those lick mats. I do recommend that you are mindful of what you are using, and you also want to be mindful of what you're putting on those lick mats and the color of the lick mats and the texture of the lick mats. Not everything is going to be easily cleaned off of a lick mat if you are hand washing it. Make sure the one that you have is dishwasher safe. Make sure that it's safe to be using in the dishwasher or even in the microwave. I've seen people crack eggs on them, put them in the microwave, and then give them kind of like a scrambled egg on their lick mat. You want to make sure that you can easily clean it And you want to make sure that it's not going to be a problem or toxic to your dog, because not all lick mats are created equal. Make sure it's, food grade, food safe. And so you also want to take into consideration how easy it's going to be to clean and how likely it is to stain, because even though I've talked about pumpkin a lot today, it is orange and I have had it stain some of my lick mats. So be careful, be cautious, be aware, be wise of what you're going to be using, and then clean it up as quickly as possible. You don't want that sitting there. You want to make sure you get that nice and clean front and back, and then get that dried for use the next time. Follow along for more ideas on how you can be using your lick mats. I'm going to be creating some recipes that I am using for my dog so that you can copy or get inspiration for your own version of a lick mat, so that it can look cool but also taste cool and be very enriching for your dog. So it's going to be a fun journey as we go on this food conversation. Again, I've linked my dog's food down below. I do recommend Unkibble for this, especially if you're going to be using it on a lick mat. You can use them as toppers, you can use them as mashed up food, you can use it in a lot of different ways to kind of elevate what you're doing for your lick mats or your slow feeders or your puzzle feeders or however you are going to be feeding your dog. And we have daily videos helping you navigate the world of dog parenthood to help you level up for your pup, to give them the best life possible using tools and resources like the lick mats we're talking about today, which, by the way, I will link some of those down below for you. I've got some great reviews on puzzle feeders and slow feeders as well, so make sure you're following along. Drop your questions and we'll see you in tomorrow's episode.